She is Lea Llovio and is a conscious wellness thought leader and globally sought after keynote speaker, an advisor to global change makers, visionary doctors, and leaders in wellness, personal development, and entertainment. Lea's work focuses on elevating purpose, accelerating healing, and fine tuning how leaders think, lead, and execute under the demands of high visibility. She helps high achievers identify the thought patterns, emotional interference, and internal pressures that drain energy, delay healing, and distract from optimized living, elevated wellness, and world impact. Please help me welcome Lea Llovio.
Well, first of all, I want to say I was here last night and my heart was so full. I was just so grateful to confirm the devotion and the generosity and the love that comes out when we get together for healing, when we get together to expand these extraordinary blessed vessels that we get to live in. And so I have been very blessed to study throughout my life about spirituality, about health and wellness, and to learn that there's a deep desire within all of us, absolutely, to extend our lives, to extend the time that we have in these sacred vessels. And this is what I call conscious wellness. And the invitation for conscious wellness is to understand that all medicine and all strategies are sacred, that the science itself that we have today is actually spiritual, it's sacred, it's the desire to live and to bring life to each other and to heal each other. Is it that way? There we go. So we live in an extraordinary time, right? I love this quote by William Blake. What is now proved was only once imagined. And so we just heard Dr. Cleaver, and he was basically telling us, look, guys, we can do all of these extraordinary things. Let me see, is this working? There we go. Okay, so we've got this science today. And in ancient times, we would have called all of this science miracles. In ancient times, we had these miraculous healers. And last night, there was a lot of talk of the ultimate healer, the ultimate miracle worker. And what was the difference between the ultimate miracle worker of ancient times and today? Well, in ancient times, we believed if we just touched his cloth, we would be healed. We knew that if his eyes were just set on us, we would be healed. But what did that ancient miracle worker say? Everything I can do, you can do, and more, with the faith of a mustard seed. So I want to invite you today to grow your mustard seed. And this is conscious wellness. So today, what can we do? We can regenerate our tissues. We can recreate our organs. We can preserve our precious brains. We can reverse our biological age, and you'll hear from Dave tomorrow, who's done an extraordinary job at doing that. We can clear the senescent cells, just like you heard earlier. But the question is, why does this work for some and not others? So how can we make sure that this sacred science that is actually spiritual medicine, but we now call science because we've got the titles, how can we make sure it works for us? Because that's why we're here, because we're going to make it work for us. Okay, so the things that we have to do is we do have to look at certain things that we need to remove. And there are external interferences and there are internal interferences. We are aware of the external interferences. We know that, it's the toxins in the body, it's what you eat every day, the lotions that you put on your body, the air that we're breathing, and very much the physical environments that we put ourselves. Who do we hang out with? Are we hanging out with people that are also believing like us, that we can do these extraordinary things in life? Or are we believing the naysayers? So we have to remove the inner interference as well as the external. And we also must incorporate conscious wellness. And that's where we have to believe in the sacredness of all of the technologies that we do today. There are people that are against these technologies, and that is because they think, oh, this is not normal. But no, when you understand that every medicine, every technology, every peptide, every exosome was created by a sacred vessel that said, I want to help people live. I want to help heal humanity, then all of these technologies become sacred. And this is where we begin to understand the dance between scientific medicine and spiritual medicine, and it is one. So now we will take a little dive into those interferences because, you know, there's nothing you can do about things unless you're aware of them. And this is only to have the consciousness so that we know that our sacred vessels, that the cells in our body are always responding to every thought we have. And so these thoughts here that I have listed for you are the most critical thoughts to start eliminating, reducing, transmuting, and removing from our consciousness. And we do this in a gentle and loving way. Why? Because anytime you start to get better, let's just say in your family, not everyone is on this path. And not everyone is trying to get better and feel better and live an extraordinary expanded health span and have tremendous radical longevity. Sometimes as you start to get better, your relationships start to improve. Sometimes you start to feel a little guilty. Am I allowed to feel this good? You know, if this other person next door to me is suffering, well, guess what? Every time that little guilt sneaks in, that can become a physical ailment. That can become an interference to this extraordinary health span, to this extraordinary longevity that you now know is part of your birthright. It's been there all along. Anger, resentment, comparison, all of these emotions create toxicity in the body. And criticism is extremely important to eliminate. But these feelings and these thoughts are not just about other people. This is about ourself. And those thoughts and that self-criticism has to be replaced with radical self-love, with radical self-celebration, and removing the limiting beliefs. And guess what else is an interference to your health and wellness and longevity? Being realistic. I don't want you to be realistic ever again because you choose what realistic is going to be for you. Not what the media tells you is fair, not what they say your lifespan should be. No, they don't get to choose your lifespan. They don't get to choose your longevity. They don't get to choose how much you get to thrive in your 80s and your 90s or as a centenarian. No more of that. And so now let's talk about those thoughts and those emotions that are going to accelerate your healing, that are going to rejuvenate you, that are going to help all of the protocols work better for you. So last night, was the epitome of this, of these thoughts, of these feelings and these emotions, and the love was flowing. And that is one of the biggest healers that we have of all. So how do we start incorporating these? Well, some people have had difficult lives, trauma. You know, not everyone had a perfect childhood where they feel confident, where they even got to love themselves. And that may be very foreign to them because there was so much sadness. So how can we get to that? We start with radical self-acceptance. Because sometimes you need to get the radical self-acceptance before you can get to the celebration, before you can get to that love and that compassion. And how do we do this? We need to have tools. We need to decide, okay, I am aware of the thought processes that can interfere with my healing. I am aware of the thought processes that can actually age me. So you make a decision. and you say, that's it. I'm never going to criticize myself again. I'm never going to get mad. I'm never going to be angry. And then you get in your car and, and somebody just cuts you off, right? And there it all is. Or you're running late. It might be something, something as small as running late. Yes. And then you're talking to yourself. You're like, oh, shoot, there I go again. I'm running late. That's self-criticism. So we need to interrupt even those tiny little thought patterns, those tiny thoughts, any thought of criticism, any thought of judgment. Why? Because everything is time and energy. Every moment of our sacred existence is time and energy. And so the moment that you did criticize yourself and say, there I go again running late, or, oh, I didn't go to the gym today, shame on me, you just stole from yourself. You stole that moment of time and energy from actually creating the healing in your cells. And your cells, every time you do that, feel a blockage. They say, oh, something's wrong, something's wrong. We need to pay attention to that. So if you are in the healing process, you just stole from your cells. And your cells, instead of focusing on, hey, we're doing great, look how optimistic my human is, your cells are now wondering, what is going on? Why are these negative thoughts happening? So the body just feels the stress of the thoughts. It doesn't know why it was, but it knows that something is wrong. So we have to let the body know that things are okay, that we've got this, that we are handling it. And so this is how we start managing our thought processes, slowly, lovingly, and kindly. But if you can't start with love, I invite you to just start with radical self-acceptance with, hey, ooh, I slipped there today, but I know I'm trying my best. I'm going to do better later. I'm going to do better tomorrow. You know, I am on this path of healing and I am going to do it. Just treat yourself as your most precious puppy. Yes, as your most precious, beloved child. If your child spills something and they're two and they're just learning to walk, are you going to yell at them? No. You're going to say, sweetheart, you know what? Next time we're going to do it this way. I want you to speak to yourself like this. If you're going to fall in love with anybody, I want you to fall in love with your mind, with your heart, with your physical body. So we're going to keep talking about the thoughts a little bit and how do we do this? How do we manage these thoughts? Because it's easy to say it. Okay, I've got the list. There's the list. I'm not doing these. You have to become a stalker. Just like the beautiful lion or lioness that stalks their prey to get the nourishment they need. So you need to stalk your thoughts to get the nourishment you need. And you watch your thoughts like a hawk. You watch your thoughts like a stalker. Because as you watch your thoughts, you will notice the ones that make you feel bad. You will notice that not only from an emotional level do they make you feel bad, but literally, if you start with negativity, you feel physically drained. This drains the physical body. If you're starting with negativity, you may not go get the exosomes because you may feel like, what's the point? Versus, I'm gonna go do this. So when the negative thoughts come up, when the self-criticism comes up, when the judgment of self or anyone else comes up, because if we judge ourselves, we are judging everyone. If we criticize ourselves, we are criticizing everyone, because this is the human sacred body of existence. So you notice the thought, and my favorite thing that seems to work for a lot of people is as soon as you notice the negative thought, you say, cancel, cancel. You acknowledge it and you update it. What do you update it to? The loving thoughts, the kind thoughts, the encouragement, so that you are every day, at every moment, enhancing and accelerating and elevating your possibility of the most extraordinary, optimized physical, mental, emotional health, because you deserve to have this. So this is how we move from interference to creating trust with the body. Why? Because if you're if you are starting to pay attention to your thoughts, guess what? Your body says, oh, my human is paying attention now. Look, my human cares about me. It's actually paying attention to the thoughts that made me feel bad and created toxicity in my physical body. So my human, I can trust. This is how you create trust with your physical body, by taking action. And your body has to trust somebody in order to heal. And it has to be you. Now, because we know that we do have all of the strategies to optimize ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and we do know that we are having this extraordinary longevity, radical lifespan, and health span, we need to have a purpose, right? If we're going to be here for a really long time, we need to live in extreme joy. If we are going to have radical longevity, we must have radical happiness, radical purpose, radical loving relationships. And so these are some tools on how to find this purpose and also fill up the cells of the body with everything they need to heal, to thrive, and to live at every level in ultimate wellness. Every single day, there is questions that you can ask yourself, and I ask you to choose one word for each. So, who do you want to be to yourself? Every day, when you go home at the end of the day and you look in the mirror, who do you want to be to yourself? Who do you want to look back at you and say, hey, we're doing okay. We're trying our best. I did do a little bit better today than I did yesterday. And you can choose one word for yourself. It can be, loving. It can be kind. It can be compassionate. Whatever it is, it could be self-care. It could be dancing. You could say, every day I'm going to dance just a little bit to make my body happy, because every time you move your body, your cells again get really happy. And then it's important to know, who do you want to be to your family, to your inner circle, to your friends, to the people that count on you for a little bit of encouragement, to the people that count on you for a little bit of love. Who do you want to be to those people? Can you choose a word? Is it supportive? Is it reliable? Is it encouraging? You choose one word for who you want to be to the people close to you. And then it's important to choose a word for those you serve. And I will tell you in a moment why we choose for each category. Somebody is counting on you for their livelihood, whether it's your employer or employee, your coworker or your organization. You are there to save their lives. Every day, we are here to save each other's lives every single day in how we act, in what we say, and what we do. And we can be a vessel to give people hope, and we can be a vessel to make other people's lives more difficult. And so we choose a word on who do we want to be to those we serve, those we are blessed to serve, because service is the greatest blessing of all. And the reason why we go through these words is because the biggest filler of energy is love and compassion. Because again, when you come from a place of love and compassion, the cells in your body understand that you have plenty, and they come in full. And when we are full, we are able to adjust without losing ourselves. We are able to say, you know what, normally I don't do this, but I can be a little kinder here today. I can be a little more patient here today, so that as I make someone's life easier, my life becomes easier and better as well. So as you know your purpose in every situation, you have the cellular mechanism as to why, right? Because the cells in your body are going to be very happy when they know they're full, that you can adjust, and that you can do things to help others. But the reason why we have these purposes is because we use these as anchors. throughout our day. Again, we coexist with other humans, and not everyone is on the same path. Not everyone is trying to do what we are trying to do. And so when you have this purpose throughout your day, you anchor back to that purpose. We start our day with knowing our words. And so anytime something throws us off, anytime we are triggered, we go back to this purpose, and you always anchor yourself back. If you don't have the purpose, if you don't have the anchor words, it's very easy to become reactive. It's very easy to want everyone to understand what you're doing. But no one has to understand what you're doing. We are here to be the generators of the healing. Should we keep going? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. We are here to be the generators of the healing, the generators of joy, the generators of eternal life. That's what we're here for. And so we have to remind ourselves of our anchors, of our purpose, of our words and our reason, so that we are not reactive and we don't allow the triggers of the outside world to knock us down. Because when we are reactive and we allow the triggers of the outside world to throw us off or knock us down, again, it's a stressor and it's a hit to the cells in the body. And the body interprets stress as stress, and it doesn't care where it came from. So the other way that you can remind yourself of this is having those words, but adding them to little places where you can see them throughout the day. So a lot of people, have a little Post-it note on their mirror, One is, I love you. Have a Post-it note on your mirror, because you're going to go there in the morning and you're going to brush your teeth and remind yourself that you love this body that you get to navigate in. So this is a very good place to have it. In your car, if you do a lot of driving, this is a great place to have it, especially if you drive in Los Angeles like me. You definitely need the little reminders. If you have an office in doorways, especially if you are a provider of any kind or you see clients, every time somebody walks through your doorway or you walk through a doorway, have that word there, especially if there's a way in which you want to bless people through your work. Throughout the day, it's important to have intraday resets, energetic resets. Again, we have the thoughts, we have the words, but it's very important to do something physical. Some of my favorite things are tapping, especially if you see a lot of clients or you're around a lot of people. Just simple tapping in between clients, in between people, in between interactions. I mean, even if you just had an argument with a loved one, go somewhere else and do some tapping. This works very well. Some jumping, that's one of our favorite ones. That's definitely Dave's favorite one for lymphatic drainage. But it not only works on lymphatic drainage, it's also an energetic clearing. If you have a little essential oil, it's just giving yourself tools that you can use so that you can reset your energy throughout the day. We can have an extraordinary morning practice, but life happens, so we need to have those interrupters throughout the day to remind us of our anchor words and to actually do something physical. A lot of the doctors that I work with will go to bathroom stalls because they have nowhere else to go. They have no privacy. And they'll just go do jumping jacks in there, or they will do, 10 squats. All of these things help. It's just to move that energy. And this is how you begin to master your thoughts. And when you master your thoughts, you master your energy, and your body is living energy. And this is how you begin to master your body. We all use the devices. Some of us take prescriptions, some of us do supplements, some of us do peptides. How do we make these really work for us, right? Because it's great. You can go get, an IV, you can get the exosomes, but again, why does it work for some and not others? It's the intention. It's the programming. Every time you go take a supplement, every time you go do a treatment, I want you to bless the treatment. Bless the supplements just like you would your food. Think of where this came from. This came from a sacred intention to heal the world. Every protocol originally came from the sacred intention of miracle healing. And these scientific advances are just as miraculous as our ancient miracle advances of ancient times. One of the things we've done with the programming is like with the sleep tech, when you measure your sleep, we've tested whether if people program themselves right before they go to sleep, and let's just say they want to improve their HRV or their REM or their deep sleep, we've tested when they'll do it 1 week, every night before they go to sleep, they will start to program themselves and say, hey, I'm gonna have a good night's sleep. I'm gonna sleep with my mouth closed. I'm gonna improve my HRV. My REM is going to be higher tomorrow, my deep sleep, and there is a vast difference of at least 20% in the improvements every single time they program versus just using the device without any programming. So we talked about the intentions and the words, but so people talk about like mindfulness, meditation, and maybe you have the time to meditate for a really long time. Does anyone have like a whole 20, 30 minutes in the morning to meditate? Okay, one person. I don't either. So what I like to do with people is ask them to take 3 to 5 minutes. I think most of us can handle that. And so this is a rapid reset, a rapid mindfulness practice. You start as soon as you wake up, as soon as your eyes open, before you get out of the bed, you take 3 deep breaths in gratitude for the existence of the physical body. That is your sacred vessel that's been carrying you along, however long you've been blessed to live on the planet in this physical body. You think of just 3 things you're grateful for. I don't want you to get a notebook and write down 3 pages of gratitude. If you can, wonderful. But most people are working, raising children. It's a little bit hard to spend that time. And then you think of 3 intentions you have for yourself. If the sky's the limit and you could want whatever you wanted, just think of those 3 intentions for yourself, and it can be very fast. And the most important one is 3 intentions you have on how you want to serve humanity. And the reason why generosity is the most important is, again, because your body will say, oh my gosh, my human is thinking about the things we can do to help others. My human is thinking about how I can serve humanity. I must be very well. So now the cells in your body can relax and get to work and not be afraid of what's going on. If you wake up in worry, if you wake up thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to get mine, I've got to get mine, the cells in your body are restricted. But when you come from a place of generosity, the cells in your body are dancing. And they're like, ooh, we've got it going on. We've got work to do. We can relax, we can heal, we can do our work easily, we can flow. And so these are, the main practices that I like to give the people that I work with, having those intraday resets. If you can have a small sacred space where you work or your home, whether, it's just having a color or a stone or a picture of somebody you love, just to remind you. And we use devices and technology not because we count on them, because they're tools to remind us of the power that we have. Remember, every single technology was created by a beautiful human just like us, whose intention was to really help humanity heal. And at the end of the day, it's important to do a little recap, do a little clearing. There's energy everywhere, so we want to do something at the end of the day, whether it's breath work, a little more tapping, a little bit of dancing, a little bit of stretching, but knowing the intention, I am releasing this day. My body is going to be free now to completely relax. And again, the gratitude of this extraordinary physical vessel that carried you through that day, through this life so far, and reflecting on where could I have done a little better? What do I want to do a little better at tomorrow? And then programming again. How do you want to sleep? What do you want to dream about? Do you want to get some answers during your dreams? Some people do. And this is just perfect because everyone here is already doing this. Ralph Waldo Emerson, do not go where the path may lead, as we are not following. We are creating the path and leaving a trail and doing our sacred work. And so this is conscious wellness. It is the dance between scientific medicine and spiritual medicine. And this is how we do the blessing work, that we may live the blessing way and be a vessel for healing for ourselves, extend our lifespan, and live at the most optimal level, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, because it's already happening. And thank you so much for having me here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, you deserve that. All right, we have time for a couple of questions before we go into a break. Anyone? Thank you.
I just want to say thank you.
Oh,
Fascinating.
Thank you.
I enjoyed every second,
Oh,
and that's life.
Mm.
Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
All right. Anyone else?
Curiosity, you mentioned, our sacred vessel throughout your presentation, which suggests a separation between your body and you. You said the vessel that carries you. I'm wondering if you could explain that a little bit. I'm kind of trying to understand that.
Mhm. I think there are many opinions on this, right? And I do feel, again, that we get to choose. We get to choose what we call everything. And so, for example, depending on where you are in your healing process, sometimes people find it helpful to speak to the body as their sacred vessel. Some people find it helpful to speak to their soul from their body. And some people have integrated it all. And so it really is a choice, and it is using all of the resources that we have as we see fit, as our healing process, because we are all individual. But I don't think there's a doubt that these bodies and this existence is sacred. We are being carried in these beautiful bodies, right? And we are doing our best to preserve them to the utmost. But it is an individual choice, and it doesn't even have to always stay the same, because we are living in a time where we are learning more and more every day, thanks to the scientific medicine, which is the spiritual medicine. So we're constantly evolving. And so at any time, you can choose how you want to communicate as your sacred vessel or with your sacred vessel. It's really up to each individual to decide what they want to call their existence. And what matters is that you are constantly getting better, you are feeling better, you are feeling more fulfilled, and that there's this fire in your belly and this little bit of adrenaline in your heart that is making you feel vibrantly alive and happy and generous. And hopefully you feel like dancing.
Thank you so much, Lea. Great presentation.
Thank
Wow,
you.
what a divine body you are. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done.